Welcome back, listeners, to Red Hunt, where I, Red, delve deep into the intriguing realm of relationship stories from Reddit. Fasten your seatbelts and get ready for a wild ride as we unfold tales and offer advice that'll leave you craving for more. Would I be the antagonist for telling my parents that my 17-year-old sister is pregnant? Yesterday, my 20-year-old sister texted me a picture of 2 positive pregnancy tests. She jokingly compared herself to our pregnant cat. At first, I thought she was just kidding around. However, she persisted, and when I expressed that it wasn't funny and I didn't want to participate, she sent me a picture of a record from a family planning clinic confirming her pregnancy, dated for today. She has asked me not to inform our parents and intends to tell them herself in early February after she has the ultrasound. This means I have to keep her teenage pregnancy a secret for well over a month, and it's really weighing me down. I am genuinely worried for her and the baby. My sister has always had significant behavioral issues. She stopped going to therapy and refuses to take her medication. She frequently skips school, fails classes, and behaves aggressively and immaturely. Growing up in a chaotic and unstable environment, I understand her harboring resentment toward our parents. However, her actions often caused fights at home. She lacks basic life skills like doing laundry, cooking, and cleaning dishes. She cannot drive and relies on our parents to take care of everything for her when she's at home. She does not possess the necessary abilities or emotional maturity to raise a child. For the past few months, my sister has spent all her time with her girlfriend, who is a trans woman, hence the baby. I assume her girlfriend's parents know about the situation as well, and probably drove them to the clinic since neither of them can drive. Whenever I try to communicate with my sister and gain a better understanding of her plans, we either end up arguing or she stops responding altogether. It seems her girlfriend plans to get a second job, and my sister intends to find either a higher-paying job or a second job herself. She mentioned something about taking classes to accumulate points for baby items, but I don't know the full details of her plan. The worst part is that I feel awful for my parents. They barely have enough money to support our family, let alone another baby. Every time my parents talk to me, I feel sick to my stomach, as if they have no idea about the financial and emotional hardships that await them. I want to respect my sister's wishes, but as an adult sibling, I also feel a sense of responsibility in all of this, especially since she is still a minor. It feels extremely unfair for her to ask me to keep such a huge secret for an extended period. I don't even understand why she told me, and I genuinely wish she hadn't. She dropped this bombshell on me out of nowhere and expects me to sit with it for over a month. I'm completely lost on what to do. What should I do? Given the gravity of the situation, it might be best to have a calm and honest conversation with your sister about your concerns. Express that you are worried about her ability to provide for and raise a child, given her current circumstances. Encourage her to discuss this with your parents sooner rather than later, so that they can help her make informed decisions and seek the necessary support. Ultimately, it is up to you to decide whether to tell your parents or not. However, considering the potential consequences of keeping such a significant secret, it may be in the best interest of everyone involved to inform them. It's important to weigh the potential fallout from breaking your sister's trust against the potential long-term harm to her and the baby if the situation remains hidden. Remember, this is a delicate and complex situation, and seeking advice from a professional, such as a counselor or therapist, could provide valuable guidance and support for both you and your sister. My GF destroyed our family on Boxing Day and has completely abandoned me and my daughter. We have been in a relationship for over 3 years and have lived together for a significant portion of that time. She met my daughter early on and they formed a strong bond. She quickly took on a motherly role, and we have been a family ever since. Despite her moving away for university, our relationship remains strong, and she would come home whenever possible. I even had the opportunity to visit her. We were both planning for our future together, even though she was away for her longest stretch of time, 4 months. Towards the end, she started becoming distant and talking about a male friend in a way that made me uncomfortable. He stayed over at her apartment one day, but she assured me that he slept on the couch. During her Christmas visit, everything seemed perfect, and we made plans for the future and for our daughter to visit. However, I saw the friend texting her on the 26th, saying he missed her. I confronted her about it and she seemed upset, explaining that he was trying to pursue a romantic relationship and that it hurt her because she valued their friendship. While I believed her, something still felt off, so I looked through their messages. I discovered that they were communicating in a romantic manner, with him talking about their night together and how cute she looked while sleeping. She showed a lot of interest in him through text. I confronted her about this, and she admitted to kissing him on the neck and inviting him to stay over, but denied any sexual activity. I was extremely angry and devastated, so I told her to leave, and I drove her to the nearest coffee shop where her family would pick her up. She remained silent during the ride and didn't try to explain anything. In the following days, I reached out to her when I had calmed down, hoping to discuss the situation and potentially reconcile. However, she treated me coldly and never took responsibility for her actions. She claimed to need time alone and expressed remorse, but believed things had to end. I was heartbroken that she didn't make any effort to fix things and we didn't see each other for the rest of her visit. Our relationship is now over, She did promise to end things with the other guy and said she needed time to work on herself. However, I recently found out that they started dating immediately after she returned to university on January 6th. Both my daughter and I are incredibly sad, and I don't know how to explain to her that someone she saw as a mother figure could be there one day and gone the next. There were no warning signs that our relationship would abruptly end, though it wasn't perfect. I don't know if I should reach out to her or what to say to my daughter. I'm at a loss and I can't comprehend how she could leave her family for a 19-year-old boy. She always claimed that my daughter was her own and that I was the love of her life, but now she has suddenly moved on to someone else. How can I move forward with my head held high after such an embarrassing and painful experience? I apologize for the suboptimal writing. I'm currently a mess, and I desperately need to hear someone else's perspective on this situation. I'm so sorry to hear about the pain and betrayal you're going through right now. It's completely understandable that you're feeling hurt and confused about the sudden end to your relationship. Dealing with heartbreak is never easy, especially when it involves someone who had a significant role in your life and your daughter's life. First and foremost, it's important to give yourself time to heal. Take the necessary time for self-care and focus on rebuilding your life for yourself and your daughter. While it may be tempting to reach out to your ex-girlfriend and demand answers or closure, it's important to remember that closure may not always come from external sources. Sometimes the healing process involves accepting that the relationship is over and allowing yourself to move forward. For your daughter, it's essential to be honest and open with her in an age-appropriate manner. Let her know that the relationship between her and your ex-girlfriend has changed, and that it's okay to feel sad or confused about it. Reassure her that you will always be there for her, and that your love for her hasn't changed. Remember, healing takes time, and it's okay to feel a range of emotions. Eventually, with self-care and support, you will find yourself in a better place. You deserve happiness and a fulfilling future, and while it may not seem like it right now, this experience can be a stepping stone towards finding that. Stay strong and know that this too shall pass. Am I the antagonist for calling my sister a perverted freak? So all of this happened while we were on a road trip out of state. I, a 15-year-old female, was with my parents, a 39-year-old male and a 40-year-old female, and my 13-year-old sister. We stopped at a gas station to find some food and use the restroom. I want to mention that I already dislike public restrooms, particularly because they offer very little privacy. I also have some traumatic experiences from when I was younger, which has made me very private. I become extremely upset when people invade my privacy or personal autonomy. While I was in the restroom stall, I was honestly horrified to see someone looking into the stall and smiling as if it were amusing. Initially, I didn't recognize that it was my sister, so I didn't know how to react. It was a mixture of shock, anger, and disbelief. Once I exited the stall, I confronted her and asked her what she was doing. I was furious and questioned how she could think it was acceptable to watch someone in the bathroom. What if it wasn't me in the stall? She became upset with me, left, and went to find our parents. I followed her, and when I caught up to them, she was already telling our parents how I had cursed at her. I am not allowed to swear, especially at family members, and yelled at her when she asked me to hurry up. She conveniently omitted the part where she peered into the stall. Initially, both of my parents were angry with me. However, once I explained why I had yelled, my father seemed to calm down a bit. I justified my anger by explaining that I felt it was justified since she had violated my privacy by looking into the stall. I asked my parents, what kind of person looks into somebody's bathroom stall? I admit that I said it quite loud and it caught the attention of some people nearby. My mother became very upset and took my sister out to the car, while my father and I remained in the gas station. My father acknowledged that what my sister did was wrong, but also advised me that I shouldn't have used such language, and I agree with him. When we returned to the car, my mom and sister were still quite angry with me. My mom told me that my sister was just a kid who made a mistake, and because she's my sister, it shouldn't matter. She argued that my sister had apologized, so it should be okay. I argued back, stating that my sister is 13 and should know better. I expressed that I didn't care that she was my sister. Her behavior was disgusting, and I wouldn't allow my mom to justify it. After some time, my mom calmed down a bit and talked to my sister about the incident. They still feel that I overreacted and shouldn't have become so upset, but I believe my feelings were valid. So, am I the asshole here? It's understandable that you feel violated and upset when someone invades your privacy in a public restroom, especially given your previous trauma. Your sister looking into your stall was inappropriate and disrespectful, and you had every right to be angry and call her out on her behavior. It's important to establish boundaries and make it clear that such actions are not acceptable. Your parents may not fully understand your perspective, but that doesn't make you in the wrong. It's important for them to recognize the impact this incident had on you and support you. I feel like my boyfriend is behaving a bit sketchy. I am currently facing a dilemma in my relationship. While my boyfriend is generally nice and kind, there are aspects of his behavior that I find concerning. Sometimes he says or does things that hurt me deeply. He often dismisses my concerns by claiming that I am overly reactive and controlling, but I believe my concerns are valid. For instance, during a TV show, an attractive actor appeared on screen, and my boyfriend turned to me and said, There is only one person I would leave you for, and that's her. I found this comment to be very strange and inappropriate for someone in a committed relationship. On the few times we went out clubbing, I noticed him frequently standing in corners, engaging in conversations with random girls. I expressed my discomfort with this behavior, but he brushed it off, claiming that he enjoys socializing with people. However, I pointed out that only engaging with girls and not guys is not really interacting with a variety of people. There was also an incident where we brought our own drink in a bottle to a bar. I expressed my disgust at the idea of sharing our cup with random individuals and asked him not to do so. However, when I went to the bathroom and returned, I found him sharing our drink with the female waiter, claiming that he didn't remember our conversation from an hour ago due to being drunk. Moreover, we both agreed to delete all contacts and connections with former hookups from our phones since we wanted to take our relationship seriously. However, I later discovered that he had kept contact with one of his hometown flings, with whom he cheated on her boyfriend. They would all hang out together, and the boyfriend was unaware of this situation. When confronted about this, he had various explanations that ranged from deleting only Tinder dates to wanting to have lunch with her if we ever broke up, denying any attraction towards her and insisting they were just friends. These incidents have made me incredibly insecure and have eroded my trust in him. We constantly argue about these issues, which I find pointless. Presently, we are having another disagreement regarding a female friend of his, who he claims not to like but remains close to. When we spend time together, she acts disrespectful, mocks me, and tries to isolate my boyfriend. Although I try to be kind to her, it is challenging due to her behavior. I expressed my preference that they limit their time together since my boyfriend doesn't seem to like her, and she is rude towards me. He initially agreed, stating that he wanted me to be happy. However, I recently discovered that he invited her and a male friend for dinner and drinks while I am away on a trip, arguing that he doesn't want to be alone or miserable during my absence, which is only for 2 weeks, and he has other friends to hang out with. He blames me for him not having more friends because he is always with me, although I have encouraged him to hang out with his friends, excluding her, to be honest. I love him, and most of the time, he treats me kindly and affectionately. He frequently gives me flowers and compliments me on my appearance, expressing his love for me. However, I am struggling to understand why he behaves the way he does. We have been together for a year, and he has mentioned marriage within the first month of our relationship. I acknowledge that I have trust issues due to past abuse in a previous relationship, making it difficult for me to navigate this situation. These examples are just a fraction of my concerns. In summary, I am unsure if I am being controlling or if he is simply behaving immaturely. Are his actions questionable? It's concerning that your boyfriend dismisses your concerns and tries to justify his actions instead of acknowledging how they affect you. It's also troubling that he kept a hookup's contact information on his phone and gave conflicting explanations for why he did so. These patterns of behavior can make it difficult for you to trust him, especially given your past experiences with abuse. Regarding the situation with his friend who mistreats you, it's important that your boyfriend prioritizes your feelings and stands up for you. By inviting her over for dinner and drinks after saying he wouldn't, he is not showing proper support. It's important to communicate your concerns to him and discuss the impact his actions have on your emotional well-being. Ultimately, only you can determine what is best for you and the dynamics of your relationship. However, it may be helpful to seek the advice of a therapist or counselor who can provide support and guidance as you navigate these complex emotions and decisions. How do I trust my wife again? So a couple months back, I went home early from work because I was worn down and just needed some time to rest. Got home about 1 in the afternoon and decided to take a nap with my wife. As we're laying there, we're looking at her phone because she wanted to show me something, and she gets a text from someone in her contacts, let's say B, that I didn't recognize. All it said is, "Why is that?" Okay, so she talks with guys sometimes, but we have free reign of each other's phones, and I've never felt a need to look through her phone. But this just gave me a weird feeling. So I just asked her about it, and she said it was one of her brother's friends, and she had told him she can't get pregnant. Just talking about life and such. Whatever, I still trust her. I know who she is. About a month later, I looked at her phone to see all what they were exactly talking about, and there were only 3 texts, no real conversation. Just looked like he was trying to get her to talk and she wasn't engaging. But underneath B's chat was a chat with, let's say, J. This text conversation was so long that I couldn't scroll to the top to see what they first started talking about. I read a few messages but just didn't have time to really look at it all to see what was going on. She had never mentioned talking with J, ever. A couple days ago, she sends me out with her phone on an errand. Perfect, I'll have time to see what exactly, if anything, I need to worry about. Guess what? That entire conversation was gone. Can't find it anywhere, and her phone doesn't have a recycling bin for deleted messages or anything like that. I asked her that night after our kids, 3 kids from 5'10", were in bed about it, and she completely denied evening knowing a JA. Like I saw the conversation but just didn't read it, and then it wasn't there. How are you going to say that? Lie to my face like that? The only thing she would admit to was talking to B and blamed me for not giving her enough attention. I told her, yeah, when did 2 wrongs make a right? She said she wants to work on us if I still do, and I told her point blank I still love her, just don't trust her. Yesterday was weird. She was trying to cuddle and hold my hand all day, coming up behind me and hugging me. We did have sex last night, and even that felt weird, like she was trying to make it more about me. I just can't get over that feeling every time her phone makes the slightest noise. And it's not like doing something as extreme as always looking at her phone would put my mind to rest, because she would probably just delete the text before I get home. To summarize, I love her, can't help myself, but can't trust her after I found out she deleted messages with other guys. What do I do? In situations like this, it might be helpful to seek the assistance of a couples therapist or marriage counselor. They can provide a safe space for both of you to express your feelings, explore underlying issues, and work towards rebuilding trust. Ultimately, the decision of what to do next is up to you. Trust is not easily repaired, and it may take time and effort from both of you to rebuild it. Take some time to reflect on your feelings and what you need in order to feel secure and respected in the relationship. It's essential to prioritize your own well-being and make choices that align with your values and happiness. Remember, you deserve to be in a relationship where you feel safe, secure, and trusted. If your trust is constantly being broken and you are unable to move forward, it may be necessary to reevaluate the future of the relationship. I feel as though I'm dating a manipulator. Yesterday, my boyfriend and I were on a video call. I told him I would call him back because I was having dinner at a restaurant with my child. While there, I decided to have a margarita with my meal. He started telling me that it was a bad decision to have a drink at the restaurant. I reassured him multiple times that it was only one drink, I probably wouldn't finish it, and even if I did, I would wait and hang out before driving home. I made it clear that I would never drive under the influence with my child. I appreciated his concern, but I assured him I was perfectly fine. I want to emphasize that I have a successful career in education, and I am not willing to risk any issues related to alcohol. I have never been involved in any alcohol-related problems, and I hope to keep it that way. He continued to insist that I would get pulled over and asked to take a breathalyzer test. I told him I found that ridiculous and that I was completely sober, far from being unable to drive. As a cautious and responsible mother, I would never do anything that could endanger my son or myself. He doesn't drink much, but he did have a few sips of my mojito last weekend when he was the designated driver on our date. Anyway, after being tired of defending myself for 2 to 3 minutes, he wasn't mean, just nagging. I said I would call him back after dinner. He was killing the positive atmosphere for me and my child, and I didn't want to hear it anymore. I told him I would call him on the way home if it made him feel better. He continued to tell me how he would have handled things differently. I told him again that I was ending the conversation and hung up. 1 minute later, I called him back, but he didn't answer. I also texted him an apology for hanging up, but he didn't call back. I suggested he take some time to cool off. In all honesty, I feel that telling someone I no longer want to talk is enough, and hanging up is only truly hanging up if there was no warning. I texted him this morning and told him he could take his time if he needed it, but I missed him. He was still angry today and said he wanted to break up because hanging up was like spitting in his face. He accused me of being explosive and said he should be the one angry. He claimed our communication is fragile. In summary, I feel like I'm being manipulated into thinking I'm the problem after hanging up on my boyfriend for criticizing me. He broke up with me, saying hanging up was disrespectful, but I had expressed my desire to end the conversation. Is this a minor issue that can be resolved, or should I move on? It seems like there are some communication and trust issues going on in your relationship. From your perspective, it seems like your boyfriend was being overly critical and not listening to your reassurances about responsible drinking and driving. Hanging up may not have been the best way to handle the situation, but it sounds like you were frustrated and wanted to end the conversation. However, your boyfriend's reaction of wanting to break up over this incident seems like an extreme response. It's important to have open and honest communication in a relationship, and both parties should be able to express their concerns without resorting to ultimatums. Moving forward, it might be helpful to have a calm and honest conversation about how this situation made both of you feel. Discussing your expectations, concerns, and finding a compromise that works for both of you could be beneficial. If this incident becomes a pattern and communication continues to be difficult, then it might be worth considering if this relationship is healthy for both of you. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.